Have you ever stopped to wonder how your favorite app or a video game or even your smart thermostat actually makes decisions? Well, I promise you, it is not magic. Today, we're going to break down the two secret ingredients that power pretty much all software, making choices and repeating tasks.
I mean, really think about it. From a simple little calculator app on your phone to a massive, complex AI. How in the world does a program figure out what to do from 1 millisecond to the next? And you know what? The answer is way simpler than you'd think.
That's it. Seriously, that is the whole secret. Every single piece of software you have ever used is built on top of these two core abilities, making a choice and repeating a task. We just give them slightly fancier names, branching and looping. Okay, so let's start with making choices. I want you to picture your code as a river flowing along. Branching is basically what happens when that river hits a fork in the road and has to decide which path to take. So the technical term for this is branching. It uses something called conditional logic, which is just a fancy way of saying, if this one thing is true, then do that. Otherwise, do something else entirely. It's just a series of little logical tests that guide where the program is going to go. All right, here's a classic question that trips a lot of people up. What if you have multiple if conditions, and more than one of them are actually true? Does the code run all of them, just the last one, or only the first true one it finds? What do you think would be the most efficient? And the answer is, it executes the first true condition it finds, and then it stops. That's it. This is why the order of your conditions is absolutely crucial. You can see it right here. The program checks condition 1. Nope, that's false. It moves on. It checks condition 2. Ah, that's true. So it executes that code and immediately stops. It doesn't even bother looking at condition 3, even though that one's true too. So that's how code makes a choice. Pretty cool, right? But what about those repetitive, boring tasks? I mean, you definitely don't want to have to write the same line of code 1,000 times. And you don't have to. That's exactly where looping comes in. Looping is just what it sounds like, repeating a block of code. This is the real workhorse of programming. It's what processes every single item in your online shopping cart, and it's what renders every single frame of the show you're binge watching. So to pick the right kind of loop for the job, you really only need to ask yourself one single question. Do I know, right now, exactly how many times this task needs to run? Your answer to that question is going to point you to one of two major types of loops. And this is where it all gets pretty simple. If you know you need to do something, say, exactly 10 times, you're going to use a for loop. But if you need to do something until a certain condition changes, like until a user finally presses a button, then you'll want to use a while loop. Let's take a closer look at each one. First step, the for loop. You can think of this thing like a metronome for your code. It is precise, it's predictable, and it's absolutely perfect for when you know the exact number of beats or repetitions that you need. So a for loop is your go-to when you need to run a block of code a very specific number of times. It's perfect for things like processing every single pixel in a photo or calculating the monthly interest on a loan for exactly 360 months. Okay, here's another one of those little gotchas for new programmers. If you write a loop that says, for I from 0 to 5, how many times do you think the code inside that loop is actually going to run? Let's just count it out together. See, in the world of programming, we usually start counting from 0, not from 1. So the loop runs for the value 0, then 1, then 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's right, it's a total of 6 times. It might seem like a small detail, but trust me, it is critical. Getting comfortable with counting from 0 is one of those fundamental things in programming. All right, so for loops are great when you know the exact number, but what about when you don't? What if you're just waiting for something to happen? Well, for that, you've got the while loop. You see, the while loop is all about the condition. It just keeps running and running as long as its condition is true. The very second that condition becomes false, the loop stops cold. Let's make this real. Imagine you're coding a smart thermostat. The heater needs to keep running until the room gets up to 68 degrees. You have no idea if that's going to take 1 minute or 1 hour. So what's the right tool for that job? Yeah, it has to be a while loop. I mean, look at the reasons. The number of times it has to run is completely unknown. Its job depends entirely on an external thing, the room's temperature. And it needs to keep checking that temperature over and over. That is a perfect job for a while loop. So there you have it. You've got making choices with branching and repeating tasks with loops.
These two incredibly simple concepts are the foundation, the very DNA of every complex digital world we live in, from your social media feed to the software that keeps our power grid running.
So now that you understand these fundamental building blocks, I want you to look at the world around you a little differently. Think about your morning routine, or following a recipe, or even just navigating through traffic. How could you sketch out a simple little program for one of those tasks? You might be surprised just how much of your own life could be described with a little bit of code.